problem that most new photographers have when they're just starting out is that they think they need to have all this fancy gear and fancy equipment and fancy lighting in order to create beautiful, stunning photographs that tell magnificent stories. Well, I'm here to disprove that, and I'm going to share with you exactly how I created this beautiful photograph using a 50mm lens, natural light, and educating my client so that there was literally no outlay. Okay, let's get into it. So with this photo, like I said, it was where the idea was to create these ethereal type, dreamy photographs of this woman who was mourning and celebrating. She was celebrating her life, but mourning the loss of a loved one. And it was actually a collaboration that we developed these photos with. So what I actually did is I knew some models in my community that I had reached out to. And this one in particular, I've actually photographed her quite a few times. And when I told her of the concept, she immediately put her hand up. So as you can see in this photograph, she is standing there in this beautiful white gown that has these windows that shine off all this beautiful, natural, gorgeous filtered light. And prior to this, so I did a planning session with her. I told her of the design and the looks and the final photographs that we were actually looking for, and I educated her on the makeup and the hair so that she could go away and she could do it herself. And then I actually had a friend who actually hires gowns out, and I'd actually hired the gown from her for this photo shoot, and it's actually a maternity photography gown for maternity clients to use. And then we went to this beautiful, beautiful building in town, and because I knew that there was these big windows there that would give incredible natural light that we could utilize and create these dreamy type photographs. And that's exactly what it did. And literally, because she was already had arrived already with her hair and her makeup done, so it was literally just popping the gown on her and telling her or directing her in how I wanted her to move her body. And for this particular shot, all I did was place her in front of those two windows. I went off to a 45-degree angle, and I let all that beautiful natural light like emit and just, gather around her. And all I told her to do was simply to pick up the dress, the edges of the dress, and just twirl. Just slowly twirl. Be in your own moment of just feeling like a princess, almost like this gorgeous woman that was just bathing in all this beautiful light and enjoying the moment that she was actually relishing in. And I knew that when the final product of these photos, some were going to be in black and white, and this particular photo I knew that I wanted to switch it over and put it into a lot of sepia brown toning in it. And the camera that I used was my trusty Nikon D810. I had the 50mm lens on her, and I just simply used the natural light, and I was metering the light that was hitting her as opposed to the light that was streaming in, so I wouldn't get those rough or bright highlights, although it didn't really matter because I just thought that they would just add another extra dimension to the photograph, which in actual fact they actually did. And then it was just, like I said, it was just me, her, and my camera using natural light in this beautiful old building with these big windows, and just asking her for a moment to just to remember her childlike innocence and just twirl around in this gown. And this was the final image that was actually captured. And you can see in the photograph, I actually used a fairly high ISO in it, and that was also intentional because I actually wanted some beautiful grainy shots in there as well. And I dropped down my my f-stop, and then matched it with the shutter speed. And that's literally all I did. And I just took these series of these photos in her in different shots as she was twirling. And sometimes she would actually put her head up in the opposite direction of what she was twirling. And I just gently reminded her that whichever way that she was twirling, to make sure that her head was, or her chin was actually facing down that way. And this was the final shot. And I mean, it's just simply beautiful and gorgeous, just using natural light, 50mm camera, lens, on my camera, and just having fun to see what we could create. So like I said, you don't really need all this expensive gear and equipment to create something really, really beautiful. And here's another example as well, just to prove it. So this is also done in natural light photography. And the story around this was that the client had actually had this beautiful, beautiful pink kimono that she wanted to use in her photographs. And I actually made the headpiece for her to put in, and it was just big, big dusty pink roses that I'd actually joined together and twined together and put onto a clip to sit in her hair. She actually had hair extensions, her own hair extensions that she'd actually put in. And again, I educated her on the look and the style that we were going to go for in order to create this beautiful imagery for her. She knew she had to bring the kimono. I also informed her about like the makeup look and the lips, so that was a cost that I didn't have to bear. She'd already done that. She came prepared with that. She also, like I said, had the hair extensions in because she wanted that long, straight, jet black hair look. And I simply put her up against this. I have a pink wall in my studio. I put her up against that pink wall. I aimed her face towards where the natural light was, and I turned her slightly. And all I asked her to do was just take a nice deep breath. But instead of breathing out of her mouth, I asked her to breathe out of her nose. And this was the final image that we'd actually gotten. A couple of times I actually asked her to lift her chin just that little bit more and then just bring that shoulder around. And I think the final product is absolutely beautiful. Again, another photo that was actually done in natural light. I educated my client on the look and the style that we were going for. She brought in her own outfit. She did her own makeup and her hair. I did the headpiece, and we just used natural light. And again, it was shot on my 50mm lens for this. So like I said, you don't need all this expensive equipment. And finally, this last photograph, which is of this beautiful young girl. Now, most people think that when you have children in front of your camera, you actually have to make them smile or have them smile. Kids don't naturally smile. Most are very thoughtful. They like to just, they really listen in, and most tend not to like to smile because it reminds them of, those school days of having to sit there, smile for the camera, thank you, and push on. No. And this photo here, I can tell you, her mother absolutely loved this photo. This is actually my granddaughter. I've actually photographed my grandkids every year since they were born. So their mother has this collection of photos of, and this was actually last year's photograph. And all it is, again, I went to the op shop. I got this outfit from the op shop for her. I bought a brand new white long sleeve skivvy for her to sit in and a pair of white tights. The actual beanie that she's wearing, it's actually her grandmother's. So there was that real sense of connection, of family, of something very important to not just me as the grandmother, but also the photographer, but also to her, because that was her great-great-great-grandmother's beanie that she was wearing. So there was that sense of pride that she held. And yes, when she sat in front of the camera, as per usual, kids, when they sit in front of a camera, they want to immediately smile. And I told her not to smile, just relax. Hold your hands there. Again, it's in natural light. I faced her so that the natural light was directly behind me as we were taking this photograph. And all I said to her was just, again, take a nice small breath and just smile, no less, no less. Smile just a little bit less. And there, that's it. And I captured it. And you can see this photo is truly captivating. The smile, it's a little hint of a smile. It's almost like that little smile that the Mona Lisa gives. But the smile, it actually reaches her eyes, and you can see that there's that light that's actually reflecting in her eyes as well. Natural light. I knew it was going to be a natural light, and that is a beautiful, beautiful photograph, and that tells so much. All three of these photographs each tell stories. That's the whole idea of photography, is to tell stories, tell your stories, develop your own style, develop your own way that you want to tell your client's stories or somebody's stories if you're photographing people and you're doing portraits, because Clients, again, clients do not care about the equipment. Clients do not care about what lens you have. Clients don't care if you don't have lights or if you do have lights. Clients care about the experience that you're going to create for them, and then the beautiful final products or the photographs that you create together, because they mean so much to them. They're a moment of a capture of a time. It tells their story. It tells their journey. It tells them who they are, where they've come from, and where they're going. So don't get too hung up on the type of camera, all the equipment, all that gear, because it really doesn't matter. I hope you found those tips useful, and I'll be back again to dissect and show you some more photographs and help you tell better stories in your own portrait photography.